So, as all of you must have seen by now, Blizzard just released a roadmap and their plan for Dragonflight for 2023, and they just confirmed in that roadmap 2 brand new zones that will be coming, and that of course is only for the next year, so we might be getting even more zones by the end of Dragonflight. However, what are these zones actually going to be? I mean, we literally discovered the entirety of the Isles already in 10.0. We don't know about any other planets, but we do have some hints for what could be coming. There are some potential Isles, other dimensions, time travel, and a bunch of other things. So what are all the hints that we currently have for the upcoming zones in Dragonflight? The last $10 giveaway for Gamigo is happening right now, as we already have 3 winners for the previous ones. All you have to do is just use my link in the description and add hashtag Gamigo to your comment, and I'll pick the final winner by New Year. Gamigo also has a ton of really great deals by the end of the year for a limited time, so make sure to use my code Doron for a great discount and check out the link in the description below. If you guys have seen, Blizzard just gave us a roadmap for 2023, which, in my opinion, is amazing news and probably the best thing they have done yet. I mean, sure, Dragonflight at the moment is pretty good, but we all know with WoW expansions, it's really all about the long term. It's very easy to get caught up in the initial hype of a new expansion. For example, Shadowlands did have a few foundational problems, but honestly, I really enjoyed it at the first few months. I really played it all the time. But the main problem came when Blizzard literally gave us no content for the entire expansion. When you think about it, we literally got just like one new zone, which was Zereth Mortis, and Kortia, that was literally just an extension of the mod that was already there. So there was very little new stuff to do. Now, Dragonflight actually seems completely different, and it looks like Blizzard is doing a bit of a different approach, and not even a bit, like a huge different approach. It seems like they have 2 major content patches planned in 2023 involving new zones, which means that these should be really big ones, and there will be like these half patches that will include some of the story. A majority of these smaller patches will be mainly gameplay stuff, some armors, trading posts, but what most of us, and what I'm personally looking forward to, is the story progression and how this expansion is actually going to go forward and what is going to happen by the end. So by this sort of a rough roadmap, it seems like we will only get 10.1 possibly around May, although we should learn what it is all about in the PTR earlier, and there is 10.0.7 which mentions a return to Forbidden Reach, and at this point in time a lot of people are speculating this might mean an introduction of classes other than evokers for the Draktyr, as there are other hints. However, none of this actually is like major new content, but there could be a tiny bit of story in these little patches. Now, looking at all the current info that we have, let us examine what these 2 major zones could be, as we do actually have some hints, and not just some hints, we have a bunch of them. So, seeing how this is structured and how much time is going to be between these patches, which is probably going to be like 6 months or something, I'm guessing the actual development of 10.1 may be near completion by this point, or it's definitely deep in progress. Because of that, I honestly doubt these are going to be like minor extensions of the current zones, and it might be a whole huge patch with potentially multiple new zones inside of a single one. If you read the blog post for that Blizzard accompanied with this image, they mentioned that they liked the way Legion operated and a lot of the community liked it, and as you may remember, we did get a huge patch back in Legion, as we received like the entire world of Argus with a bunch of zones inside the world that realistically could have been an entire expansion in itself. So because of this, I feel like we could rule out that little area in the Oneran Plains that could be an entire patch. As you may remember, there has been a big theory that a new Teldrassil will be planted right in that hole on the left side where the Isles are, as it's super close to the seat of the Green Dragonflight. And while I do still think that is highly likely, it's very suspicious, and we literally saw the Green Dragons planting this tree in the Emerald Dream, I feel like this might happen as like a conclusion of the entire expansion. I mean, there just isn't really all that much room there for a content patch. I don't see us going to these little islands in Teldrassil for like a few months, for like half a year. So this leaves us with a few major hints, but the first 2 we have is Avaloran and the Underground. I'm guessing all of you saw this coming. I'm guessing all of you already heard about this, so I'm not going to repeat myself. I just want to mention like how the old stuff relates to the updated information that we just learned these past few weeks. Months ago, and even before Dragonflight released, a 10.1 map was data mined called Underground, which strongly hinted that obviously we would go under the ground in in 10.1. However, with the recent Dragonflight hints, this makes even more sense. We have a Deathwing related artifact that whispers, that says "Seek me below," and it is some sort of a mysterious being that we know nothing about that has the ability to mind control. More importantly than anything, we have a Ridicron just released at the end of the Vault of the Incarnates and hiding underground, and Alexstrasza said that he's going to be super hard to track below Earth, but obviously we would have to find him before he strikes first. When we combine this with these mysterious old god energies, hints about Y'Shaarj, hints about Yongsaron, hints about Galakrond, there is just a ton of info that underground stuff could be happening as soon as 10.1. So more than likely, if this ever happens, it will happen in 10.1, which is a natural follow-up to the finale of the first raid of Dragonflight. Second scenario that might also be related to the first is the so-called Avaloran. Now, we learned about Avaloran from Alderaan and from the Titan documents. Apparently, as we learned about Titan tyranny and how they sort of dominated the world, we also learned that a group of Titanforge had hid themselves in some sort of like a bunker situation, likely underground, and that the Titan Keepers have unsuccessfully tried to get rid of them multiple times. Their status was never mentioned again, so it's very possible that they're still around. I really don't see why they would mention them otherwise. Furthermore, there are some sort of dwarf kansas that were mentioned as well that we also know nothing about. This place where these rebels are is called Avaloran, and I think it was a pretty evident hint for the story progression of Dragonflight, so it's possible that Avaloran may be one of the zones in this underground or an area of this underground we might visit. It could be like a city of the entire underground area where these guys are. We could potentially go into this old god area and these rebels could become our allies that could enlighten us on the Titan tyranny and tell us all these things that we knew nothing about. Furthermore, we also have a bunch of Titan facilities already in Dragonflight, the possible resurrection of Tyr, so this could be some hidden Titan facility as well, possibly a facility that these rebels had overtaken. There is just so much potential here for a very, very interesting story development. Second scenario is that this could be some sort of an island, but I honestly doubt it. I mean, I could totally see how much like how the Dragon Isles were cloaked, so was Avaloran, and it took a bit longer for it to unravel, but I feel like eventually someone just has to send like a spaceship above Azeroth or something and actually photograph this planet, because we can't just keep discovering these isles left and right that no one knows anything about. I mean, how many isles are there to the world of Azeroth? Now, the second scenario, and very likely involving 10.2, so not the first patch, is the Emerald Dream. This has been heavily hinted before as we learned about the Emerald Dream portal in the Uneran Plains and the questline in the Uneran Plains, but this theory essentially doubled down when we got that cinematic and we saw Tyrande literally planting a new Teldrassil right inside the Emerald Dream. This was by everyone completely expected, but what wasn't expected was that we got a brand new old god whisper in the time travel to the Black Empire that said, "Deeper its roots will grow, welcoming our embrace." If we get some old god stuff in 10.1, this could be a very natural transition into 10.2 and the Emerald Dream. As I had previously speculated, this tree in the Emerald Dream is like the last chance for the Night Elves to ever recover themselves, as it's literally infused with their souls, so I could totally see a scenario where we go into the Emerald Dream and fight the biggest corruption ever, and we just do everything we can in order to save this new Night Elven World Tree. Lastly, what could totally 100% be possible are some sort of time travel scenarios. There are already a bunch of them in the game. There is a lot of stuff that has been hinted at with Nosdormu and time travel and his possible turn into Murasat. However, I don't feel like this is really going to be a huge content patch. I feel like these might be like raids or dungeons or scenarios we could go through as like a part of the main questline, very similar to the End Time and Cataclysm, but I doubt we could see like a huge time travel scenario that could be an entire zone that we would constantly go back to. It doesn't really make all that much sense. So overall, even though the expansion is still very early in development, we already do have a bunch of hints, but it can really go either way. I'm guessing by 10.1 we should have a clearer picture. However, even by this point, it is almost certain that the Emerald Dream and the Old Gods are going to be involved, at least to some extent, all throughout Dragonflight. Thank you for watching. Check out who is going to be the dragon aspect, Vrathian or Savellian, by clicking on the screen, and check out the Nodes Academy for videos of real-world history. See you next time.